plants. The green frontier. These are the discussions of the podcast Horticult. Its continuing mission to talk about strange new cultivars, to seek out new flowers and plant them, to boldly garden like no one has before. Hello, Podlings. This is episode number 42, Fall Color. We get into a little bit of how fall color can enhance your landscape, ways that it could add and create all seasonal interest to your yard, and why to choose a tree or shrub over another, and tips to help the duration of the fall color last longer. Fall color can have the same or greater than effort into your yard as spring blooms. Wow, think about that. Now let's get it on. I'm Blaine.
And I am B-Rad.
And we're the Horticult. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Podlings, for listening. And in this episode, we're going to get right to it. We're going to talk about fall color. It is the season. So we have beautiful mountains here in Utah, and right now they're starting to change. So we thought we would talk about fall color and how it can enhance your landscape in a different way, add those different colors. So I have a little ginkgo, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it goes yellow, so it's kind of a different color because it's nice and bright green right now, and it's going to go yellow, so it's going to stand out against my other plants because I think the only other things I have are Sistina plums.
Yeah, and they'll probably just stay like that kind of maroonish color.
Yeah, maybe nice. Get maybe like a little rusty color on it and then just drop.
Right.
So yeah, it's not really something I really focus on when I choose a plant. Like, I can't get that because it's, not the right fall color. It's not where I go. Like I kind of think of like fall color as kind of a very weak point of emphasis of why to choose that plant over another. Like I think of more of a health issue, is it going to be healthy?
Yeah.
But like some people can choose that, and it can be a design element in your yard of a fall color.
Yeah, I mean there's the three components, right? You've got usually at the nursery when you're picking out a tree or a shrub, and they always kind of promote spring flowering. You'll see a lot of, we've got great spring flower blooming trees or shrubs, which is nice. They can be fragrant. And then there's the fall color factotum.
Yeah.
Which is really nice too. So, I mean, and then there's the health of the actual health of the tree itself. So, and maybe growth habit and whatever that you're looking for.
Size, how big does it get? How quickly does it grow?
Yep.
All that kind of stuff.
So there's the three components there that people really look at when they're designing a landscape. And fall color is, so I mean, obviously if you could choose from a red oak or an English oak, a white oak, and that the English oak really doesn't get any fall color, would that sway you to maybe buy or not really?
For me, like if I had to choose between those two, like a red oak or a white oak, just because I already know that the white oaks do better. It's like the same thing with firs and spruces or pines. Pines typically will do better
here
in a landscape setting. They're just more tolerant of heat and soils and water, whatever, than the other ones.
That's a smart choice for Utah, I think.
For Utah, yeah.
Yeah, the Great Basin area, the Bonneville area, for sure.
But like with oak, it's like they kind of hold on to their leaves. So then that's kind of adds a different element to your yard too. They don't drop their leaves until they leaf out again in the spring. So they're kind of a little different
They're a little funky. But they're basically they just go brown. More
they just go brown. They don't really. Not that I remember anyway.
Yeah.
But there are some like ones that you could kind of lean towards to say, oh, it has a pretty fall color. Like that's planted a lot. I mean, the Bradford pears here in Utah, you could single them out from a distance in the fall because they're so brilliantly
fiery red.
Yeah. So I mean, that does add an element that you can look for, definitely, especially if you have a lot of trees. But it's just kind of like one of those weaker elements to me because you're just it's so fleeting.
It's potentially quite short-lived.
Yeah, and it depends on the season.
That's right. And that was one thing that we probably ought to bring up. So one way to maybe help down in the valley anyway, to help elongate the duration of your fall color, right, is two things on my list. One is plenty of light exposure. So, for example, we were talking about that euonymus, the burning bush. And one that I had, it's a great plant, but it was under the canopy of many other trees, so much so that when it came time for fall color, there was no fall color. It did not go red. And so if you have these great specimens specifically for their fall color, like that burning bush, if it's too shaded, you'll miss out on a nice long duration and vibrant color. So that's one factor. The other one is water availability. And so, for example, if you're like, I'm going to save a little bit of money and I want to cut my water off sooner in my yard after the season is kind of coming to an end, then you may be reducing the duration of your fall color, and a few of the varieties that come to mind, maybe some yellows would be like aspens and cottonwoods, alders. You had mentioned the ginkgo. It's a brilliant yellow.
Yeah,
that's a beautiful yellow.
Ash trees are yellow.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you can kind of mix it up with. If you're really concerned about that, I mean, who doesn't love the fall though? I mean, the fall is just a wonderful. That's my favorite time of year.
Yeah.
I mean, you could plan ahead for those. So to plant those like really brilliantly red ones next to some evergreens, because then you can have that complementary color aspect of it too. Like if you're really focusing on that time of year and what you're thinking about, put those next to your pine trees. Put those next to your mugo pines, or if you have boxwoods, something that stays green during that time of year, then you can have that contrast of color, and it just makes that red more brilliantly red.
Yeah.
With your burning bush.
Yeah. So still give adequate water, right? If you want the color to last, just give plenty of light, plenty of water. Another strategy. So one thing I kind of wanted to mention, a little bit of technicality, something I learned in school I thought was totally rad, was the chemicals that create the different colors. And you'll recognize these carotenoids, the carotenoids. Well, just as the name, it creates the orange colors that you'll see. And when I'm thinking of like a huge palette of colors, I'm thinking of like driving up the canyon and looking at all of the different maples and oaks and everything that's turning colors, and aspens. And so the carotenoids are going to mainly be in like your maples, big tooth maple, Rocky Mountain maples. Anthocyanins are your reds and purples, like your Gamble oaks. On a good year, it's not every year that they're red, but on a good year that they'll go like this fiery red color. And then purples, I can't think of one offhand. Birch trees. Birches go yellow, but I've also seen the purple birch too. Purple beech.
Cool.
And the next would be xanthosimonas, or xanthocyanins are the yellows, and that's a really broad group. And so I just wanted to bring those three different components up, those three different colors, as the reason why they turn colors like that. Mm-hmm. It was something fun that my kids and I would do. My family would do is we would like drive around and we'd be like, oh, look, check out those carotenoids in that tree right there. They're going orange. Or look at the xanthocyanins, you know. And anyway, so it was just kind of a fun little game to do as we're driving up the canyon.
Yeah. What I think is kind of cool too, like when you do make that little seasonal drive up the canyon during the fall, is like you could pick out where those same kind of genuses are. Like, so you can see all the maples are turning color, the same color, relatively the same color at the same time, and they're gonna contrast. So it's like it kind of goes in a shift. Like if you want to hit the middle one. So like I think the aspens will go first. Usually we miss the aspens.
They start to turn first.
They start
okay.
to go yellow first,
Yeah.
and then it kind of goes into like the maples, and then the oaks are last, or whatever. And you want to hit it right in the middle where they're all still in color. But I remember hearing one thing with the aspens, that how because of their rhizonomous nature, that one that is all collective at the same time, that they're all one organism, will all change at the exact same time. So it's like, that's why they're so breathtaking, I think, is because it's all uniform.
This massive
Just boom.
blast of yellow, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of see, like, if there's a patch that isn't quite that yellow or whatever, then their different roots come up. You know,
Oh, that's cool.
They're different individual organism. So
Yeah.
yeah, and they're like, aren't they said to be the quaking aspen in Colorado, like a grove of them, supposed to be like the largest organism?
Southern Utah.
Oh, it's in southern
Boulder,
Utah.
Yeah, the Boulder Mountain area is the largest tree organism. It used to be the largest organism, but I believe there's a fungi that's up in the Pacific Northwest that's larger.
Oh, that's considered one organism.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're looking at like I don't know if it's by mass or if it's just simply a tree organism, it's of one fold.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Really cool.
So yeah, it's definitely something you can look to and design around and use the aspects. Maybe what I try to focus on more is the different blooming time. But not a lot of flowers are blooming in the fall.
Right.
So that's your flower basically is the fall color.
Oh, true.
So
that's
I mean,
that's a great way to look at it for sure.
Look at it. But yeah, that's because you want to stagger your plants so they're blooming. So you have some spring ones, some summer ones, and you can have early summer, late summer, and then you can have your fall colors be at the end of the season. Which yeah, so you're always having interest in your yard. You're constantly throughout the year you have something that is appealing to look at that you can feel proud of.
Yeah. Well, and there's many gardens around the valley that the display gardens and or botanical gardens that could give all of you good ideas as far as what varieties can give me what colors. Red Butte Garden. There's Thanksgiving Point. Marinda Garden.
This is gone.
Gonzo.
Gonzo beans.
Well, it was. I have fond memories of that. That was a beautiful garden. So.
Throughout the state of Utah, there are those.
Utah Water.
Yeah, the Conservancy Gardens.
Yeah.
So they have one almost in every county along the Wasatch Front.
Yeah.
I know there's one in Ogden. There's the one in Kaysville, which has the Utah House connected to it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of more of a display. It's not. Well, they teach. It's like a practical application of the stuff that they're teaching in the other ones. So you can see this is how it is set up.
Yeah.
And it works. So their lawn that they have there, it has a cistern under where it collects the rainwater, and then the whole thing is watered through Netafim with drip